I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Friday, September 4th, with news headlines from Arkansas. It's the Friday of a Labor Day weekend. You know the American tendency now to turn a 3-day weekend into a 4-day weekend, which means that people have already streaming out of downtown and things are a little bit slow on the news front. But a few things to report. In Fayetteville, an anti-gay group says it will appeal a circuit judge's decision not to issue an order stopping Tuesday's election on a civil rights ordinance for Fayetteville. I don't think they'll get very far with the appeal, but it'll get them a little more attention. They'll continue with their lawsuit even if the ordinance is approved in an election, and perhaps we'll get an up or down decision by court eventually on whether cities can pass these types of ordinances. The state, the anti-gay people in the legislature tried to stop this by law. A lot of attorneys don't think they succeeded for a variety of reasons, including constitutional ones. In Kentucky this morning, an issue that has relevance here because it stirs up politicians here as well. Deputy clerks in Rowan County began issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples. The clerk, Kim Davis, had refused to do so, had refused to let her underlings do so as well. She's gone to jail for contempt of court. With her out of the way, the licenses are being issued. One of the deputies even said congratulations to one of the happy couples that finally were able to get justice and equality under the law. The husband of the clerk who's in jail was there to wave a sign saying that this was a perversion of Christianity and that we were turning into Sodom and Gomorrah. This was her fourth husband, by the way, who stood up and said the world has gone to hell on a morals basis. Speaking of that, Senator Jason Rapert is about to have a conniption fit on Twitter today over the end of the world as we know it from a moral point of view. You might take a look at him if you'd like to see somebody in high dudgeon over this decision. Also on religious matters, the Catholic Bishop of Arkansas, Anthony Taylor, has written a thoughtful piece for the Arkansas Catholic calling on the governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, and the legislature to repeal the death penalty and at the very minimum not set any execution dates now for 8 people as Attorney General Leslie Rutledge has asked him to do. The bishop has some interesting accounts of his own involvement with death penalty cases. He was at the University of Texas when Charles Whitman started firing from the tower. He was in Oklahoma City when the federal building was bombed. He's done funerals for people who were victims of those kind of tragedies. He's seen both sides. He still thinks that the seamless cloak, as they say, of his religion is to be against death and that violence begets violence even if it's the state that's doing it. Interesting reading. We have an interesting article on our blog today by Leslie Peacock about our discovery, and it took some Freedom of Information Act requests and a lot of going around with the State Heritage Department to get them, but the change in design for the Heritage Department's new headquarters building, it was sort of a cutting-edge architectural design on the Arkansas River. After Stacy Hurst got through with it, it's been turned into a very undistinguished building. Looks a little like, in my view, a funeral home or maybe a dorm at a Bible college. She says this was to save money. They put some columns on the front of the building. It's kind of lipsticks on a pig. Take a look at the drawings and see what you think. Hurst declined to talk to us about it. She says she sees no need to talk to the Arkansas Times. You know that she's a political patronage appointment, and she got her job after she lost a bitter race to Clark Tucker in a race for the state legislature. Got a $100,000 a year job in return, so that's not so bad. The task force that's talking about finding money for highways finally got around yesterday to the obvious. There needs to be a tax increase if we're going to have increased highway spending. There isn't a way, as some legislators said in that meeting, for a revenue neutral approach to highways. If it's revenue neutral, it means they'll have to steal some money from somewhere else, most likely some needy causes if they take existing money to put in the highways. Of course, a fuel tax has to be discovered. Will the legislature pass one? That indeed is a tough question. Our legislature's desire to put a Ten Commandments monument on the state capitol grounds is coming in for some joke making around the country. The latest is an article today in the New York Times talking about the outpouring of new monument ideas for the Capitol if we indeed erect a monument to a Christian religion out there, which is of course the intent of the Ten Commandments monument, not a historical reference. We've got vegans and Hindus and Satanists and all manner with ideas to stick things on the Capitol grounds. The better course would be nothing, of course. We probably have too much out there already. The Little Rock police tell me today that they are completing the file on a hit-and-run case a week ago, a young man killed while walking at Old Forge and Rodney Parham. They do have a suspect. They do have a suspect vehicle, but the prosecutor's going to have to review that file. And finally, need I tell you, Razorback football starts Saturday. All must be right with the world. It's Labor Day weekend. I'm going to barbecue something. I hope you do too. Maybe even pigs, but I do hope the pigs win. Woo pig. Max Brantley. I'll be back next week.